Welcome back, friends, to the Bald Booktuber. Today we are going to talk about my top 10 reasons why I prefer to read and listen digitally. All right, so I have been a very passionate both audiobook listener and ebook reader since there were audiobooks and there were ebooks. So 99% of my collection is made up of these two things. I do have some physical copies of books, but they are there primarily to look nice. I don't typically read from physical copies. So I'm making this video to talk about the reasons why I love digital reading. This is not to chastise anyone or tell you what you should do. Do what works for you. This is just me talking about why I love reading digitally, why it works for me. So without any further ado, let's get to work here. We're going to start with number 10, the ability to track my reading and listening habits. So I just checked right before this video. I have read at least something, at least one page of a Kindle book for the last 100 weeks, 690 straight days. This goes back to March 27th of 2020, right at the heart of the pandemic starting. I haven't missed a day. So it's nice to be able to track those kinds of things. It keeps me on task. It lets me know that I'm staying on top of my goals. There'd be no way for me to track that physically except for manually doing it. I frankly am not going to do that. The Audible app has a lot of cool ways to track your listening as well. Tell you how many hours, days, months, etc. you have listened to things. You can earn badges for different things, which I think is a really cool feature. Those are all things that it's just nice to have things that reward people that are goal-oriented and always looking to move forward. Number 9 is the ability to adjust font size, brightness, color, etc. And by color, I mean like color contrast, whether you want black on white page font, or whether you want the inverse, whether you want white font on a black background. These are all just very useful options to have depending on what kind of reader you are, depending on your eyesight. If I go and take a look at a mass market paperback or a hardcover and the font is just micro small, I just know that I'm not personally going to enjoy that reading experience. But with that same book, I can crank up the font to whatever I want it to be. And just as one example, it's really nice to have those kinds of unique features that are unique to digital copies of books. Number 8, the ability to easily track percentage left in a book, track time left in a chapter or the book, those kinds of things. If you're anything like me, you do your best not to stop in the middle of a chapter. Sometimes it can't be avoided, obviously. But, if I'm got an hour before my workday starts, I tend to read in the mornings before work. If I've got an hour before my workday starts, and I see that I have 35, 40 minutes left in the chapter, I'll keep going. There wouldn't be an easy way to track something like that in a physical book. It's extremely easy in an ebook. So I really enjoy that. Audiobook has somewhat similar features, depending on what you're using, where it can tell you time left. In terms of the percentage completion and that kind of stuff, I tend to think in terms of I have 50% left in a 1,000-page novel instead of I have 500 pages left. I don't know if there's any advantage to that. That's just how I tend to think about these things. So I like having that right there in front of me. This is your percentage you have remaining in the book. And a lot of times, if it has additional materials or sample chapters or whatever in the back of the book, you're even closer to the finish line than you thought you were. It may say you have you're at the 70% point, but you're really at the 80% point or whatever it is. So I like that quite a little bit. All right, number 7, this is definitely something I really enjoy. I like economical choices. So things like Kindle Unlimited, Scribed, access to my local libraries through the Overdrive and Libby apps, Things like NetGalley, where I like to get advanced reader copies of books on occasion, audiobooks. And then you've got things like Amazon Prime, Amazon Kindle Daily Deals that can give you free and or reduced price books. All that is really, really handy. You can kind of follow the authors and the series that you're interested in and pick things up for cheap or in many cases for nothing, which is really nice. For example, I have, I think, the first 8 or 9 Cradle books. I haven't gotten to that series yet. I hear good things, but I bought them all for free. So, that wouldn't happen with physical copies. So, those are some of the nice things that you have as options and fallbacks to get things reduced price and or free. All right, number 6 is effortless one-click purchase and delivery. So I always feel a bit bad for folks that are waiting on a book, especially if it's like a new release and they put in their pre-order or what have you, and it's the day of, and they're waiting, and they don't get it until maybe that evening or maybe the next day even. Versus if I pre-order an ebook, I know it will be there waiting for me in my digital library that morning. And sometimes that evening still, depending on time zones and that kind of stuff, the evening before. So easy to plan accordingly. I am someone who likes to take a day off when there is a big book release that I have been waiting sometimes not so patiently for. So having that there and knowing that my day off will be put to good use is a very, very good thing. I also don't have to worry about any of the other myriad of things that I would have to worry about with physical books, like if it's damaged, if it's stolen, if it's lost, all that kind of stuff is immaterial. I don't have to worry about any of it. All right, number 5, an entire library in my pocket. So if you are anything like me, occasionally you're a bit indecisive about either what you want to start reading, continue reading, or read next. So having everything there in front of me, as long as it's been downloaded, or if I can easily get onto Wi-Fi wherever I'm at, I do a lot of reading on my iPhone. I also have, this is a bit embarrassing, but I also have a Kindle Paperwhite. I've got 2 Kindle Fires of different sizes. So there are plenty of different options that I have, and have Kindle will travel, I guess. So just the sheer convenience of being able to pick from that and not having to take a huge stack of books with me wherever I go is very handy, very nice. All right, number 4, the ability to search for text within the text and or to click on hyperlinks. These are somewhat different things, but I find them both useful for reference. So with the searching within text, a lot of times I'll have maybe a character or maybe a specific passage or something that I want to remind myself of or look up because somebody asked a question, maybe in a Discord or something like that, and my memory is famously bad. So the ability to just do a simple search and look for that character name or that basic event or what have you is very nice. Takes me right to where I need to go. I can copy and paste the text very easily if I want to do that. I can take screenshots of it very easily if I want to do that. Those are all options. I don't know what the legal ramifications are, so I hope that doesn't get me in trouble. As far as the clickable links, a lot of times I read nonfiction as well, and there will be a link to maybe the author's website or maybe other resources that go along with that. So it's very nice and handy. Got a web browser on the phone or on the Kindle reader to be able to do that very easily. So very nice. All right, that moves us on to number 3, and this also a bit like the last one, the ability to look up words in either the dictionary or the thesaurus, and get meaning, get synonyms, antonyms, that kind of stuff. My my vocabulary, yes, see, is not great. So I'm always looking to expand it. And especially with some of the stuff that I read, fantasy-wise and otherwise, there is jargon and other kinds of stuff that for me, I don't always know what it is, and I can try to figure out the context through context clues, and usually I'm pretty close, but I'd rather just look it up and make sure I'm correct. So that's always a nice feature to have. Number two, this one I really love, the ability to highlight within the text, and or to bookmark audiobooks. You can do that as well. The nice thing about highlighting within the text, not only is it an easy reference for you for anytime you want to go back to the book or revisit or what have you, there's also the ability to automatically upload it onto your Goodreads review of that particular book, which is something I really love, and you can share with your Goodreads friends. Here are the things that I took out of this book. Like here were the meaningful passages and different things for me. And if they've read the book, that's great. If they haven't, maybe they see how many highlights and bookmarks and stuff that I have, and they're like, "You really like this? Maybe I should give it a shot." So, so that is a very handy feature that I really love. And then coming in at number one, this is kind of two-part. So it's immersive reading and whispersync. So it's two different things, but they're very similar. We'll start with whispersync. So what whispersync is if you have both the audiobook version and the Kindle version of a book, it will remember where you are in each of those. So if maybe I read a chapter in the ebook and then I go to load the audiobook later that day, it automatically refreshes and takes care of where I'm at in the story, which is very, very useful, especially if I didn't happen to end right on a chapter break. It's very nice to have that automatically taken care of for me. Immersive reading is, and I've talked about it on the channel before, my favorite and preferred way to read. And this is when you have both the audiobook and you've got, well, the way I do it is to have the Kindle version too. And you sync it up so that it plays the audio as you are reading the Kindle version. It actually has like a, how do I want to describe this? So I'll link a video of what it looks like, but it has a line that kind of shows where you're at in the text, and it reads along with that line, and it actually flips the pages and stuff automatically. So it takes care of all of that. And this can be done on iOS, on my iPhone. I'm assuming it can be done through Android as well. I don't know. I don't have any Android products. And it can be done on Kindle Fires. Now, I will be upset with Amazon until they provide me with a dedicated reader like a Paperwhite or an Oasis or something of that nature that also has this built-in functionality. But for right now, it doesn't. So you can kind of manually read immersively, like you can read along and listen along. But as far as the automatic native built-in immersive reading, again, I'll link a video to show you what it looks and feels like. It doesn't have that built-in. So I know this was a quick one. These are my top 10 reasons I prefer to read digitally. I hope you found some value from it. Please let me know what your preferred reading methods are. What formats do you like to read in? Drop in the comments if you have any questions about why I do what I do, or if you have any recommendations for me to get even more out of digital reading. I would definitely appreciate it. But until next time, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a wonderful night.